We live. What's going on, YouTube family? Hey, I'm simultaneously recording for TikTok Live, which is up there. If you're on TikTok, well, I guess that's like the move right now with the platform. But hey, welcome to Wellness Wednesdays, episode 5. This is where we get real. This is when I bring you guys information from what's happening. Stuff usually these news articles get suppressed, or you don't hear much about it. Other distractions that they got you watching, TikTok dances, and they got you watching all sorts of stuff, which is good. But every once in a while, you need to know what's going on with your food. You need to know what's going on with your health, and you need to know what's going on with the government. And are they helping or are they controlling? You just got to know. This is going to be a really interesting episode. We're just going to break down 3 segments today. Usually we have like a bunch of segments, but I've been watching your feedback and it's just like, hey, let's dig deeper in some of the segments. Let's take our time and have some fun. So we're going to have some fun today. Obviously, if you watch the thumbnail, we're going to talk about fake fish, which is, I don't know if y'all heard, but they have just approved, or they gave the okay for salmon to be lab grown and sold. So it's past the phase of testing. It's now going to start being in restaurants where your salmon never was in an ocean or anything. It just was a cell in a lab. And we're going to talk about how crazy that is. And we're going to talk about some real concerns that you and your family should definitely be on the lookout for. Also, we're going to talk about bread. This is huge. I mean, especially being a bread person, I understand that people who travel, when especially Europe or some of these other places, when you start getting out of the country and you have an opportunity to see what else is out there, you start to question our government, you start to question our rules, and you're like, why are some of these things allowed if they're banned in other countries because they have been known to cause issues? Why are we still doing it? So we're going to talk about bread. We're going to talk about how the gluten in the flour in this country, a lot of it is chopped, and it's causing a lot of issues. And you're gonna have to make a decision on what kind of bread you're going to start messing with, because yeah, we're gonna deep dive in it. We're going to talk about why. We're going to talk about what bread to look out for. We're going to talk about the ingredients in the breads that's causing these GI tract issues, that's causing this bloating, that's causing thyroid issues, that's causing fibroids. All we're going to talk. We're going to talk about how some of those ingredients are banned in like 100 other countries, but we're still holding on. I'll share what you got. California is actually the first state that's going to be banning one of the biggest culprits in bread that we should really be trying to stay away from. And last but not least, I don't know if y'all heard in the news, but there's an article there's a couple of articles out. I don't know if y'all know, but since early this year, they have been firing a lot of the scientists and researchers from USDA. And also from just the agriculture department. And recently, there has been a termination of workers who let us know about the food security in our country. Every single year for decades, we have scientists and researchers who tell us about food security or food insecurity, especially in mostly affected rural, poor areas. And this agency gives some type of insight, a lot of insight to what's happening as far as who's going hungry in our country. And just recently, that agency has kind of been shut down, or a lot of the workers and scientists have been shut down. And we're going to talk about what I believe that may be a part of, and how that can actually affect us in the long run. So we got a busy night tonight. Thank you everybody who's joining. I see we starting to fill in. And if you're watching the replay, I truly appreciate you. We're here at episode 5. And again, this is my love language, because if you see me looking up, it's like I'm looking up at my TikTok screen, because again, this is for those who haven't traveled over to the YouTube side. I'm trying to make sure until I get my software up. StreamYard, shout out to StreamYard. I'm now doing it on TikTok. What up, TikTok? And I'm also doing it here with you guys, YouTube. But YouTube is my main. You guys know that's y'all my main squeeze. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Shout out to everybody who's on the live and everybody who's checking out the replay. As always, put your questions in the chat. I always check the questions. I always, when I can, actually, I always answer questions. And if I don't know the answer, we look it up on the spot. We try to find what's going on. So first and foremost, I'm kind of disgusted. I'm fake disgusted. I'm frustrated, and I think it's a bit just being disgusted. But let me tell you why. So just recently, the first rollout has begun up in Portland. There's a restaurant called Kann, and they are the first reported that we know about that has lab-grown salmon on the menu. Like, how do you think you would feel if you went to a restaurant and you did not know that your salmon or your fish did not come out of the sea? It wasn't born naturally. Like, how would that make you feel? And I think for me, it kind of sucks because two things I believe are happening. And let me just give you a little bit more of the article. So there's a company called Wild Type Foods, and they have been working on this product for a little bit of time now. And they said, hey, we can create this in about 2 weeks. Usually a salmon's life from birth or conception to birth or to the time we eat it, conception to consumption is about 2 years. We can make it in 2 weeks using technology, using, cell, all this other stuff. So they had to submit a safety review or a safety letter to FDA. So the FDA is solely responsible for seafood. USDA, they come in for poultry and other stuff in the meat, but FDA is solely responsible for seafood. So they submitted it and they said, hey, this is safe. There was no issues. We should be good to go. And the FDA said, okay, great, you're good to go. So they usually, based on the findings of the company, they usually have a thing called a no question letter, which means that they have no further questions, no further concerns. You are now able to carry on with your product. So they said, bet. So they found a restaurant or some restaurants, and they're already starting to put the lab salmon in restaurants. So be clear. They're taking a real salmon, they're taking the cells from a real salmon, and they feed it a proprietary like blend inside of some like steel bioreactor, right? And it's taken like 2 weeks, the cultures feed on each other. And after a while, you have this little paste, this it's almost like a cell paste, and it almost looks like the same product that is replicating because of the tissues. However, what doesn't get transferred are the nutrients. Same thing, and it's crazy because I thought we just got farm raised. Like, I don't know if a lot of you've been hearing, but farm raised is usually not the best fish to eat long term, mostly because of the practices of how they are creating these fish. Shout out to TikTok if you're joining me. What's up, TikTok? I am simultaneously doing TikTok and YouTube. So they have these fish products. I mean, let me get back to what I'm saying. So they get to 2 weeks. However, the cells aren't transferring. So just because a cell is not carrying over the nutrient profile, they have to insert the nutrients. The issue or the loophole that we're going to have with this food product is it's proprietary and it's called a trade secret. So they don't have to share what antibiotics they're putting into this fake salmon. They don't have to share the recipe. They don't have to share the nutrient profile that they've added. They don't have to share additives. They don't have to share flavorings. They don't have to share nothing. All they had to do was prove that it is safe by their standards, and that's what we're supposed to go with. And this is the issue. The issue is where the food is getting faker and faker and faker. Every time you turn around, the food is getting faker. We're not eating real food. And you're almost thinking like, are they growing these for the robots or the AI? Like, who are you growing this food for? Because this next generation, they're going to be deprived of essential nutrients. We're going to be deprived. We're still here. And 5 years from now, 10 years from now, things are not going to look familiar. It's going to look crazy because they're already creating lab grown eggs where they create the membrane look of an egg. They're inserting the tissue and it's a lab grown egg. They're already working on that. Obviously, they already have lab grown chicken. They already have lab grown meat and beef. It's already there. It's already out there. However, thank God for some of these states who banned it. Look up your state and see if they are banning the use of lab grown meat because it's horrendous. Think about it. When you go to a restaurant, there's no law yet that says they have to state that it was lab grown. They do that in supermarkets and packaging when you have to cook it. But if it's already been prepared, you just need to know what the nutrient profile of it is. And mostly in some states, it's just how many calories are in it. And then if you go on the website, you can get some of the nutrient profile. But they don't have to say in some states that, hey, this was grown in a lab. That's scary work. And it's obviously great USA. I mean, for us to be so far ahead and so advanced and so amazing, and a lot of our technology and a lot of our research, you have to ask yourself, how is this allowed? Like, how is it a thing where we have a country that allows for manufacturers who are part tech, part bio, to create a fake fish, fake salmon, and then sell it in restaurants? That's wild work. And I feel like I'm not against innovation. I feel like innovation is a great thing. But if you're going to innovate something like this, then there should also be transparency. That's my biggest issue. My biggest issue is I'm not a hater. I'm like, whoever the person who thought of taking a cell and biopsying it for fish cells to biopsy from live salmon and create that in a bioreactor, yo, kudos to you. That's ingenious. Show us the recipe, show us the receipts, be transparent so we can know what's in the fish. We're not saying your trade secrets per se, but we still need to know what's in it so that way we can make a conscious decision on what we're putting in our body. If you created such this amazing innovation where you have lab grown meat and lab grown salmon and lab grown eggs and you're proud of it, then you should also have some transparency so we can know what chemicals and what stuff you're putting in it. And let me know in the chat, how do you feel about that? How do you feel? Do you think it's a good idea? And I'll look up there. I'll look on TikTok too. Do you think it's a good idea that we for food to be created in a lab? Because here's the other argument. Let me have some journalistic integrity. So the other side of it is this is supposed to help reduce ocean pollution. This is supposed to help us reduce oversourcing of our salmon in our nature and pollution and everything else. That's what it's supposed to combat. And I believe, okay, if that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing. However, this is the issue. There's studies out now, and I actually have there's studies out right now, one by ACS Food Science and Technology that was done in 2024. It says early analysis suggests that cultured seafood, which this is lab grown salmon or seafood, can have a higher carbon footprint than beef if powered by conventional grids. So what are we saying? That's coal, gas, oil. What's happening? Our country is going away from green. So if these lab grown fish, meat, egg products are being done with renewable energy, green energy, then you have a better argument on how you're helping to reduce the carbon footprint. But if our country right now is now leaning more towards going back to coal, going back to fossil fuel, going back to those type of energy sources, then what's happening is the lab grown stuff is going to have a higher footprint than the cattle. And that's crazy because cattle and livestock, they have a pretty high footprint as far as the gas that they put out, the emissions is pretty up there. Also, I said this earlier, omega-3, which is a very great, we talked about it on my podcast. Shout out to everybody who follows the podcast. It's a great nutrient. Great to have. I had a brain flip because I'm like looking up at TikTok. What up, TikTok? I appreciate y'all. I see. Yep. No, that's not real food. And I truly believe that when it comes to uh, the food that we're being presented, I'm starting to think, is it for profit or if it for people? So omega-3s, the omega-3 content that are usually found in wild caught fish and wild caught salmon is not inherent to muscle cells. So it's not because they took a cell from a live salmon, put it in a bioreactor, and they grew this lab grown salmon. So all the nutrient profile that was in the live salmon carries over, carries over to the lab grown salmon. It doesn't work that way. That's why in the report they said that they are feeding it nutrient cultures and nutrient components, but they're not telling us what the nutrients are because it's a trade secret. So for me personally, I'm staying away from it. I don't plan to eat lab grown meat. I'm having a hard time just trying to find the wild caught stuff. I made it my mind a long time ago to stay away from farm raised because unfortunately, a lot of the farm raised companies, especially the bigger ran ones, they have really inhumane breeding sites, and the fish are fed bad diets, really fatty diets to fatten them up, soy, corn, just garbage. And they are in these tight spaces where they're feeding on their own feces. There's no real breeding ground, and they're being given antibiotics to keep them healthy or resistant from disease. And if you listen to the last episode, episode 4, we talked about the effects of resistance. Antibiotic resistance, superbacks or superbugs. And when you're feeding something so many antibiotics, just like a human being, we start to grow a resistance to it, and then there's nothing to combat it. So I would just be careful with that. Be on the lookout for that. I'm giving that to y'all now. You're going to start hearing a lot more about it in the news. I'm interested to see how these companies market it. I believe they're going to try to make it, they're going to use influencers and maybe hip hop artists and pop stars and rock stars and athletes, and they're gonna do whatever they need to do to market this thing to us. They're gonna use probably TikTok influencers, Instagram influencers. They're gonna figure out whatever they need to do so that way, when it does hit the main market, trust me, they're spending millions of dollars right now trying to make sure that when it hits the mainstream market, it's going to seem safe. It's going to seem, which it probably is. It's going to seem healthier. It's going to seem more environmentally friendly. They're going to do all of that in the marketing of it because they're going to have to start figuring out, how do we get this product? How do we sell this product? And we're the consumer. So, I mean, we have to be confused before we consume. That's just how it works. So hopefully you guys can save this episode, watch it for later. And yeah, that's just my little 2 cents. Let me see if this is working. All right, I feel like the chat, something's going on with the chat, y'all. Sorry. Yeah. Oh well, we'll check it out. I see TikTok has a little movement going on. All right. So what's next? All right. This is one of my favorites. We're gonna talk about bread and gluten inferiority in the U.S. So I always say that this is the bread that broke America. If you've ever been to Europe, if you've ever been to Southeast Asia, if you've ever been to the Caribbean, um, you'll notice that if you eat bread from a bakery, you do not have the same bloating. You do not have the same irritability. You don't have the same issues like when you eat here in America. Why is that? All right, let's get into it. So, for starters, European nations have banned additives that we still allow. And one of those biggest ones is called potassium bromate. So potassium bromate is pretty much they say, and it has been known that it's a probable carcinogen. So the whole point of it was to help with the, I guess the dough strengthening and also the rising time. They wanted to cut it in half or multiples. They wanted to cut it by multiples. So and also chlorine dioxide is another one, and AZ dicarbonate is another one. But the US replaced iodine dough conditioners with bromate back in the 60s. So this, for one, weakened a lot of the iodine intake, and this was what caused this influx of thyroid issues, hypo and hyperthyroidism, which some of us have family and friends who are suffering with thyroid issues. It didn't help when they started to add potassium bromate and remove iodine um, from the bread, process, or the dough conditioning process. Also, our modern U.S. wheat is a high gluten hybrid, and that is more so bred for yield. It's not bred for digestibility. In other countries, especially in the EU, the European countries, their protein in their breads are like 10 to 11%. Ours is like 15%. So more gluten usually means tougher to digest. Another issue that we have in our country, some of our gluten farmers, or the ones who with wheat, I'm sorry, the wheat farmers are using a glyphosate, using glyphosate, which is also known as like Roundup. So it is to help stop pests and the little bugs and the little critters from destroying the yeast, or destroying the wheat, and also from destroying the crop. However, these sprays leave measurable traces, and that's why Europe restricts the use. We still use it. So some of your wheat farmers are using these pesticides and these insecticides and these herbicides, and what's happening is that transfer over to the bag of flour you have in your home. And the reason why it is still legal in the USA is because they consider it trace amounts. And usually when things are in trace amounts, they fall into the loophole because they are deemed generally safe. However, the FDA has made it known that you can optionally leave out bromate, which obviously you can optionally do it, if you're a good company who's going to do the right thing. But they're starting to recognize that this is not really good, or it's causing issues. And I say that because shout out to California, where I live, even though I'm in Jersey right now, shout out Jersey. California is actually in the process of banning bromate in 2027. Again, I can't be that frustrated because you think of it. What up, TikTok? You look at it and you're like, okay, this is one step forward, which is not bad. But it's like, if something is showing to be not that good, why not remove it right away? And I can see the logistics standpoint. You got to give, manufacturers, and you got to give people time to adjust their recipes. You don't want to cause financial hardship for these bigger companies who are using this product and it has been legal. So it's not like they've been breaking the law. So you don't want to cause undue hardship with the new law. So I get that part. However, I just wish it was a lot sooner. I wish a lot of these products that have been known to cause these complications with our health are removed from the shelf. It's sometimes embarrassing that some of these other countries, we're known as the most powerful, most wealthiest, most technologically advanced, amazing country in the world. However, when you start pulling back some of the covers and pulling back some of the layers, we are failing in a lot of areas, especially when it comes to our food, our agriculture, and how we treat the poor. Like we're not doing that well. And this is one of those issues where I believe when it comes to bread, when it comes to wheat, this should be a high topic issue for our FDA, USDA, CDC, all hands on deck, because our country consumes a lot of bread, a lot of wheat. So we should be educated on what's in the bread, and we should be given better alternatives that are not pricey. I mean, you got Ezekiel bread. Again, this is bread you should start looking for: sprouted bread and sourdough. Things that actually take a natural time to ferment and to rise, not the stuff that is quick rise. And, because again, they're using additives to mimic the natural process of how it's actually supposed to be. So that's when I think you and your family should definitely take notice when you're eating a product that has been sped up in the process. And now that's what we call a processed food or ultra processed food. That's when you start dealing with complications in your gut. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I know who deal with bloating issues like all the time. And they are bread people, and they're trying to figure out, how do I give up bread? How do I give up wheat? Wheat isn't just about everything. It's in our snacks. Uh, it's in our breakfast items. Wheat is just about everywhere. So shout out to the people who have made it up in their mind, who've locked in and said, hey, you know what? I now know better, or I've been knew better when it comes to wheat. And don't be fooled. All right, let's talk. Let's talk. Don't be fooled with the whole wheat thing. That was a thing back in the day because we didn't know any better. It was white bread versus wheat bread, and we just didn't know any better. So we always thought when we went for wheat bread, we were going for a good bread. Yes, it is a healthier bread, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good bread. So we always went for that bread because we thought we were doing good. This is whole wheat. We're great, not knowing that it all stems from the same wheat. One is just bleached and the other is not bleached. And some of the other components aren't stripped away. However, it's all coming from the same origin that has the potassium bromate that is being sprayed with the glyphosate to keep the pesticides and the herbicides and insecticides. It's all coming from the same thing. It's just one is getting bleached and one is staying more intact than the other, but it's still garbage. And I say that because I want us to level up when it comes to the food we're putting in our body, especially when we're fixing these sandwiches and stuff for our kids. I want you to start finding whole grain, not just wheat. I want you to find whole grain breads. I want you to look on the back of the ingredients, and I want you to we talk about this every single episode, and I'm going to do this every episode out of love, but I want you to start taking your phone, and I want you to take a picture of the ingredient list on the back of the common items that you eat all the time. And I want you to go to ChatGPT. You can even use Copilot. You can use Google, Gemini. You can use, I think, Grok. There's so many AI search engines now, but I just want you to pick your favorite. And I want you to put in the prompt, please. I always say please to my chat. My chat guy name is Kai. Like I always say, I show my chat some love. I say, Kai, please look at this label, and I want you to be constructively critical on the ingredients in this label. What are short-term and long-term effects of any one of these ingredients that's in this product? Also, tell me about any scientific journal review or any scientific data or news articles related to these ingredients. And if it's simple ingredients, water, yeast, then it'll come back, it'll say, hey, but I always put a filter. Hey, give me a holistic naturopathic point of view, because I wanted to go a little bit deeper. I don't want the fluffy answers from my chat GPT. But again, I want us to start looking at the labels. I want us to take a picture of the back of the label. And I want you to take that label and start educating you and your family on what's going on in it, because some of that stuff is just garbage. And I said this the last episode. When you do get cancer, when you do get diseases and other health complications, it sucks because we don't know what to pinpoint. It's hard to pinpoint what's causing the cancer. Is it the AirPod buds that were in our ear for the last 5 years? Is it the air fresheners in our house? Is it the parabens and the additives in our laundry detergent because we want it to smell super, super fresh? So is that Swivitel causing us issues? Is Fabuloso, is our cleaning products causing us issues? We want it to smell really, really good. So is that causing the issues? Or is it the dyes in the food? Was it the 20 plus years of us eating Skittles and Twizzlers and all these other foods, these cereals, the Fruit Loops and all these other stuff that have these dyes in it? What caused the cancer? And that's where the confusion comes in. And that's why I want us family to lock in. You have to lock in on what you're consuming. There's no more excuses. There's too much technology out here. There's too many platforms like this that's giving us the real answer. The people who haven't sold out to sponsorship or any other stuff that's going to censor us. We're telling you what's happening. What do you do with that information? That's on you. But I want you to truly have the information so you can make a conscious decision for you and your family. If you start being intentional about what lotion, what products you put on your skin. I mean, if you're still going to the store, I mean, yeah, I get it. You got your that's going to be another episode. I know you got your favorite products that you put on. I get it. You got your favorite lotions and body washes that are scented. Your Bath and Body Works. You got all your favorite stuff. I got it. However, if you're not doing your own research on what's in that stuff and if it's linked to autism, maybe you don't have it, but are you passing it on to the next generation? And it's not your fault because you didn't know, but now you have a platform that's saying, hey, we got to lock in and we got to start looking out for us because unfortunately, the government sometimes fails us. I'm not going to say it's on purpose, but it's just what it is. It's just what it is. There's billions of people here. So I guess they're trying to accommodate everybody. You have to lock in for you and your family, and you have to say, hey, listen, these are the things that are non-negotiable. We do not consume and we do not put on our skin. We talked about the episode with having just toxic candles and fresh plugins. That stuff is in the air. They got VOCs. They're volatile organic compounds. They are throwing off your endocrine system. They're throwing off your neurons. They're throwing you off. They're giving you you're moody. You're irritable. You can't sleep. Yeah. Yep. I'll leave that there. I don't want to beat you guys up. I don't want you to start throwing away all your candles, but I want you to understand that you have a responsibility on what goes on this body and what goes in this mouth inside the body. That's on you. And if you can't determine now that you are very serious about your health, I don't know what would do it for you. I don't know. Sometimes for some people it takes sickness, but why should we get to that point? Our platform is about prevention and maintenance. So, I mean, drop it in the comment section. If is there, I mean, did you know this about most of the breads, and how have you noticed that certain breads cause you issues unlike other breads? There are a lot of gluten-free options now that are actually pretty good. But again, you still got to read the label. Just because it says gluten-free, no trans fats, no this, no that, blah, blah, blah. I always tell you the front of the package is suspect. So you always got to go to the back of the package to know what's really going on with your food. And that's pretty much it. I mean, you know, right now there's a big correlation with non-celiac gluten sensitivity. So that pretty much correlates with the industry's baking methods and the chemicals that's being added, not so much gluten itself. So I'm not demonizing gluten. I'm saying what's happening in this country is that the processing of the bread is the bake time, the process time, the rise time, and the additives that they're putting into the food that could be causing complications in our bodies. Because in Europe and some of the other countries, like sourdough and a lot of other stuff, it's 24 plus hours. So it's fermenting. And when it ferments, it's better enzyme breakdown, just point blank. I wish I brought my water in here. As y'all see, I'm like licking my lips because I need like some water. But we're going to get through this. What else is next? Let's see. Let me check in with TikTok. Yeah, this is strange. I'm not really a big TikTok person. I said, let me just give it a shot. But yeah, let's see what else I have here before we get before we get into White House food security shakeup. I'm going to let y'all know what's happening with the administration. I'm going to call it. I don't want to be called the Oracle. I don't want y'all to think I got a magic ball over here. But I'm telling you, save these episodes because you're going to be able to go back and be like, Chef D that's exactly what he's talking about. And you'll get to see it coming in slow motion. So they're not going to okey doke you. They're not going to okey doke me because I'm already sharing what the game plan is. They just got to add the polish and the tricks and the gimmicks on top of it. But you guys here, you're getting firsthand what the game plan is. Yeah, let's just get right into it. Let's get right into it. So the White House. So I don't know if you all knew this, but there have been hundreds. And this is, let me be clear, this is before government shutdown. This has been happening under the radar. This is not public stuff. This is out in the public, but it's distracted a bunch of other stuff. So when it comes to the White House, oh, thank you. Someone brought me water. My sister, appreciate it. Oh my God, that was like game changing. So hundreds of scientists have been fired, furloughed, and let go. And these are the scientists from the USDA. So I don't know if you all know this, but every single year for decades, we get an annual report. This is pretty much like a let me see. It's called the annual U.S. Hunger Report. And this came about because we needed oversight in rural, poor areas of people who were going hungry. They didn't have the resources, whether they didn't have the right supermarkets, they didn't have the right, SNAP benefits, welfare, WIC. And I'm not talking about people who are abusing the system. There are people who legitimately need these resources. So the U.S. Hunger Report is a report that we have leaned on to give us a better understanding of how funding is being spent, and also to make sure that the most hungry, most poor are not forgotten. And they are given more resources, they're given more access. That's how we know about where to put a supermarket, where to put a farmer's market, where to put an agency that's going to support benefits. This is some of the, there's so many things we get from this report. So earlier this year, they reported that it was about 17%. Let me see where that's at. I got y'all. It was reported that, where is it at? Give me a second, y'all. All right, I'm just gonna say it off the top because I kind of remember. I was just looking for the actual quote. So they're saying that food insecurity has raised double digits, 17% from its prior year. What does that mean? That means that they have done a consensus all around the USA, and they found that 17% of people are more at risk of food insecurity. That means starvation. That means malnourishment. That means a lack of access to resources and food. That's in our country. That number's up 17% from the previous year. Who are the people who are mostly affected? Senior citizens, veterans, children. Now, mind you, this report also helps give them an idea about the school systems and making sure that children are being fed. And if they're not being fed, this is also this report also lets us know if our children are getting the right food, the right nutrients, and are not going hungry. You see where I'm going with this? So earlier this year, and this is not the politics side of it, this is just facts. I'm a registered independent, so I'm not beating up on anybody. I'm just saying what the facts are currently that I have at hand. And for you to remove hundreds of scientists and researchers, and the annual report was about to come out, and the administration canceled it. They said, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to know what's going on. That's scary. That makes you wonder what is the bigger picture? So let's talk about what I think the bigger picture is going to be. So I believe with the farms being messed up. Oh, and let me give you that too. So with the farmers, let me just read this. All right. So all right, so in late 2025, staff within the USDA Economic Research Service and Food Security Division were placed on administrative leave after flagging concerns about the hunger metrics. We just talked about that. They said, hey, it's over 17% of Americans are dealing with food insecurity. The number's higher, so it went up. The administration wasn't a fan of that number, and instead of highlighting it or getting more information, they decided that, hey, we're not going to do the annual hunger report. We're not going to release it this year. And you know what? Matter of fact, we're gonna shelve this. We're gonna shelve this agency. We're gonna get rid of some scientists. We're gonna furlough some scientists. We're gonna lay off some scientists and researchers. We don't like this number. We don't like how it sounds. We don't like how it feels. So we're gonna just get rid of it. We're gonna ghost it. And then that's when they canceled the first time in decades the nation won't see official data on who's going hungry. At the same time, our agriculture secretary Brooke Rollins launched a farm security plan, which fired 70 foreign researchers from countries labeled of concern. So this is the propaganda that I am scared of, and this is just little nutritional wellness guys' take on it. They listed countries that we have turmoil with, China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, because it's easier for public perception to say, "Oh yeah, of course we don't want to collab with them," not realizing that we still get food and we still get items from them. But the importance of having foreign researchers to collaborate with our U.S. researchers is that you have some integrity there and you have unity as far as ideas and concepts. And it's worked this long because you're getting different perspectives of not just the US, but other countries who are dealing with these issues as well, because we are sourcing some of our food products. Everything is not 100% grown in the USA. We have to get it. Some things are from other countries, and some things we gladly import from other countries because of cost and all the other things that come with it. So if you're firing scientists and researchers and you're saying we don't really want to work with them either because they're from another country, and you're firing the scientists from our country, what is your play? What is your end goal? So let me just say why this matters first and foremost. Shout out to TikTok. I'm on my YouTube live. Link is in the bio. But why does it matter? So the Hunger Report guides SNAP funding. So think of anybody in your life who is on SNAP, or that's a supplemental nutrition assistance program. That's usually EBT. We used to call it food stamps. There are people who just lost their job. They worked hard all their life. I'm not talking about the people who are abusing the system. That's potatoes. We're talking about hardworking Americans who just got laid off. We're talking about hardworking Americans who have more month than they have money, and they need to supplement their income. I mean, they've been paying taxes for a majority of their life. They've been paying. So they've been giving their share to the country. Like, hey, this is to make sure we keep going. We keep growing. Now is their turn to need some help. And they have to suffer because we're silencing, and we're about to get rid of an agency that lets us know how bad those people have it right now. That's wild work. So you have all these, and the job numbers just came back. They don't look good. So you have reported AI taking over a lot of jobs. You now have farmers. You let go of some farmers. The farmer industry is suffering because you have unfortunately you had undocumented workers there. However, they were working hard and doing their thing. So it wasn't thought out all the way on how to give them an opportunity to document. And I get it. I'm not left or right. Some people, I get your argument. They should have came in legal the first what time, yeah. And then some people are like, hey, they're already here and they didn't bother anybody. I see, I get it. But the facts are they have been working hard and they've been keeping the country running, especially when it comes to agriculture. So why are we just kicking them out the country without a plan? You know what I mean? We threw the baby out with the bathwater. So now the administration, let me tell you how this all ties in. So now the administration knows that the numbers are going to look really bad. And if you know any presidential administration, metrics and data are everything because that's their legacy. They have to show that they left it better than they found it. What happens though, data always tells the truth. So if you can find a way to suppress the data, what's happening now, then you can control the narrative. And that's what's happening now. That's what I'm scared. That's what I'm worried about. You just got rid of scientists and USDA people who let us know who's going hungry in this country. They also are tracking school lunch budgets and they're tracking nutrition policies nationwide. So you're messing up the farmers because you got rid of all their real good help. You are allowing fake food to be created in labs. You're allowing loopholes for that. You are changing up the packaging on the food, so there's more loopholes that can happen. So more ultra processed foods can happen. And now on top of all of that, you are removing and you're quieting and you're scaring other scientists from telling the truth. So think about what happened. These scientists were telling the truth that we're starting to see some issues with food security in the USA. They're gone. So what do you think other scientists are going to do? They're not going to want to tell the bad part so much. And you start to create control in a society that doesn't need control. We need truth. We need research. We need science. And that's that. I hope that makes sense to some of you. Shout out to people on the chat. I wish I can interact with y'all up there, but we're here on YouTube. And this is what's scary. So without the annual U.S. hunger report, and without these scientists and researchers in place, lawmakers and public health officials are flying blind on food insecurity. So you know what can happen? Without a report, anyone in the administration can say things are great. Americans are not hungry. Americans are doing great. They're living their best life ever. This is the best time to be alive. They can suppress it because what happens when the recession comes? Because historically, there's a recession on the way. Some of you already know that. When you think of recession, you just think of finances, your stocks, your 401s. You forget about the food part. You forget about what famine looks like because we're America. We have everything. We got an abundance. And they don't want to really scare us now because they don't want to affect this spending season. We're coming into spending season. So we're coming into Black Friday. We're coming into the holidays. So they don't want to put us in a situation where we get tight with our money. They have to let us know that everything is all right. Business is good as usual when it comes to the USA. No worries. There's plenty of food to go around. There's plenty of jobs to go around. There's just amazing opportunity here. Spend your money. You know, Black Friday's coming. And look at Black Friday. You know it's scary when they start moving the dates back more because something's about to blow, obviously, especially when it comes to recessionary. If you follow money, if you follow economics, it's like about to blow. So, you know, for those lock in, you know, start saving your money, start investing your money, chill out with this frivolous spending. This holiday season, you might have to write some letters. You might have to invite people over for just a dinner. You might have to do a coupon system. I mean, blowing all your money on Black Friday, thinking that everything is good with the country and all the metrics are great. I hate to tell you, but a lot of the information is being suppressed. And and every time you look on the news, any agency that speaks about how things really are, they get let go or they get silenced, or with this whole government shutdown, they're gone. They're bye-bye. So I don't want us to get into this frivolous mindset where we're spending our money. We get into this season, and for some people, it's a very depressing season. And shopping therapy is always good, but I want you to lock in, especially when. And I'm tying this back to the food, but I want you to lock in because we can't be out here spending all of our money, because when the recession hits, it's gonna be tight, and we aren't gonna know who's really hungry. There may not be enough information for the government to approve SNAP funding. So that's the thing. When the US Hungry Report comes out, that's when politicians and lawmakers can, Congress controls the purse. It seems like, someone else controls the purse, but Congress technically controls the purse or controls all the money. They look at these reports and they can vote on who gets what funding. So if there's no report about who's hungry and about our seniors not being able to get what they need and our children in the schools not getting what they need, then they have to blindly support, which is not good for anybody, because you know what that means. They're going to justify why it doesn't need spending. And then that's when you see SNAP benefits get removed. And again, there's hardworking people who deserve SNAP benefits. It's hardworking people who deserve WIC. There's hardworking people who deserve EBT. It's hardworking people who deserve Section 8. It's hardworking people. There's people who deal with situations. They come into a bad place and they need support. I'm not talking about the people who abuse it, but there are hardworking, honest, good people who rely on the services. And now we have to worry about the administration silencing information. And I mean, I feel like scientists are being warned right now not to publish things that can hurt the metrics of what's really going on. And that's pretty scary. I see here, let me see, I have some. So the layoffs disrupted research tied to the Inflation Reduction Act. So it was a $300 million initiative measuring carbon and farm emissions. The data was supposed to justify 8.45 billion in subsidies for eco-friendly farming. Now billions are untracked. So remember, we always say follow the money. There is 8.45 billion in subsidies that aren't all accounted for. And you just let go of the agency that was supposed to help us have accountability on where that money went. And you spent about almost $300 million to find this out, and you scrapped it. So this is why I always want you guys to follow the money. If the government, the administration, there's billions of dollars that's gone. Some buddies of buddies, farmers of buddies, buddies of buddies got paid. We're about to have oversight on where did that money go. And now the agency that was going to tell us where all that money went, the administration just laid off and fired those scientists and researchers. So this is why I say things are getting a little scarier now, because even though this is not in the main news because we're distracted by other foolishness, I enjoy this platform because this is what I like to bring to you guys. I get it. I'm a small fish, but I'm going to stay consistent and I'm going to show up on my Wednesdays and I'm going to bring y'all what I know. And I hope that it brings value to someone. TikTok, I don't know how often I can do this with y'all, but I'm going to try my best to be on with you guys and be on with my YouTube family. Yeah, I think we got a solution for that. I think it's a software. Felicia says she's gonna hook that up. So TikTok, you guys that have more better eye contact. Same thing, I think, with Instagram Live. We're gonna try to get this word out a lot more because we need to know what's going on. Also, what is? Yeah, man, we're running out of time. I try to keep it within an hour. And it's good that we're down to three topics because this can get lengthy, and we haven't even started our Healthiest Reset hot seat. which again, if you want to be in the healthiest hot seat, meaning that I coach you live, I coach you on the spot, I get you unstuck. There's people who are dealing with all types of um, reasons that they can't get to the gym, whether it's injury, whether it's motivation, they can't eat right or they can't eat a certain way. Come on over. I got you. I am not just a nutritionist or not just a certified personal trainer. I'm also a behavior change counselor. And, obviously being a chef, we could talk about some creative ways to get you back on track, get you and your family back on track. And that's pretty much it. I mean, any questions you guys have for me? Anything about tonight stood out to you, or anything about tonight that you have a concern about? Just throw it in the chat. Um, okay, I got a volunteer for the hot seat. That's pretty cool. All right, I see you. We'll get in touch. There's a form we'll do offline. There's a discovery call we do. But yeah, that might actually work for the hot seat for next week. Felicia, we'll get it all set up as far as how to get that, how to add another person to the live. But as always, thank you guys. Again, I had just a couple of more notes, but I mean, we'll just save that for another time. Uh, I just want us to stay tuned to what's happening in our country. Don't be distracted. Get out and vote. Vote locally. I get it. Sometimes you feel like the presidential thing is already figured out from the one percenters, but they're not concerned about your local election. I don't think they care who's on your school board, who's your mayor, who's your council people, even your governor. Like, just get out and vote. Figure out who's voting for what. Some of the topics we talked about before, press some of them and ask them, hey, why are these agencies being fired, and what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about renewable energy? So if you are going to start growing meat in labs like you are, that we're not going to create a bigger carbon footprint for the next generation. Let's just start asking these questions. Go to your town hall meetings. They're virtual now. And I want us to be intentional. I want us to lock in. Hear this from my heart, y'all. Nobody's going to do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. You have to get yourself to a place where you can combat what's about to happen. The first thing I would recommend for anybody listening to this platform or the replay, start a detox. Get those parasites out your system, get those leeches out your system, get those viruses out your system, those dormant bacteria, get them out your system, because they're hijacking you, and they're hijacking your signaling, and they're hijacking your senses. Detox. Get with a detox. If you don't know how to detox, reach out to me. I have a free ebook, a detox ebook. It should be in my bio on my Instagram, but I'm gonna figure out a way how to get it out there more. The detox. Give up the dairy, give up the bread, the gluten, give up the fried foods, give up the sugar. What else am I missing? Just give up that stuff. Give up the meat. Give it up for a couple of days. And you and your family, you and your partner, you and your friends, lock in. I almost cursed. I almost say lock in. Times are getting crazy, and they're putting all sorts of stuff in your food. There's addictive stuff more addictive than heroin and cocaine and crack in your food. And that's why you can't stop eating Takis, and you can't stop eating Doritos, and you can't just have one Oreo, and you can't just have one Pringo, and you can't just go to Taco Bell, and you can't just drive past it and not get it. You still got to get McDonald's. You still got to eat KFC chicken. You still stuck on Chick-fil-A. Listen, family, hear me, hear my heart, hear me and hear me clear. That stuff, they're getting sneakier with the ingredients, and not to say is not delicious. Unfortunately, they aren't being as transparent with the ingredients that we need them to be, and it's causing cancer. It's giving our babies autism, ADHD, depression, anxiety, all these cognitive delays, dementia, heart issues, obesity. Is messing us up. It's messing our minds up. We got to go back to that basic place. And I'm not saying give it up altogether, because we're healthy-ish fam. So you can have some of those things, but in moderation, the body can handle it and the body can kick butt. If you have decided to make your temple a place of uh, 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 nutrition and wellness, if you do eat some McDonald's fries and it's been a whole month since you had them, your body will know what to do. But I want us to really get to a place where we are fighting back and we're doing better. We got to do better, family. I don't want to hold you guys past an hour. Just try to do better. TikTok, I'm gonna do better with getting you guys your own platform, so that way we can let's send the live is going to end. I don't know what that is. We are boom. Um, anyway, we just reached an hour. Thank you all for listening today. Any questions, you can email me at chefd at thechefdbrand.com. On Instagram, it's at nutrition and wellness guy. TikTok, same thing. Definitely please message me if you have questions or concerns. I try to get back to you, and I believe it or not, some of you really do hit me up, and that's how I come up with some of these topics. I want this platform to be more interactive. We just hit 5. Appreciate you guys for being with me on 5 episodes. My main podcast side, we had 30 episodes already, so that's a little small flex. So I appreciate it. We really get into this content thing. I think I'm going to be here for the long run, God willing. But yeah, hit me up. Let's get into it. I want to start bringing people on the screen. I wanted this to be more interactive. This is not for me to talk for a whole hour. This is you guys' platform. I know it's late for some of you who are on the East Coast. But let's make this our platform. We get to decide the topics we're going to talk about. We do the research, we do the homework, and we protect ourselves. And let's get into some farming. Let's figure out how we're going to start farming, even if we got to do some pods in the house. Let's just figure out how we're going to start growing some of our own food. And don't be scared to, I'm going to talk more about flexitarian lifestyle. I'm a flexitarian and I love it. But don't be scared to go vegan for a week. Don't scared to go vegetarian for a week. Don't be scared to give up chicken and beef for a week or two. Don't be scared. That stuff is going to help with your skin. It's going to help with your hair. It's going to help with your health. And especially we coming up on cold, flu, COVID season, you better get your temple in order before people start and all that other foolishness they do at the office, they do on the bus, they do in the Uber driver. We need to start getting our bodies right. Alicia, my bad. I was supposed to make the elderberry syrup. I got you. I leave town in the morning, but I will try to make you your elderberry syrup. But let's reinforce our bodies and let's get ready for the wintertime. That's what probably next week we're going to talk about, how to prep the body for wintertime and how to get this temple right. So that way people are coughing and sneezing, grown-ups who don't know how to cover their mouth on the plane and train and everywhere else, we'll be good. We won't sweat the small stuff. I appreciate you guys. Love you very much. And good night to all. Oh, and remember, health is wealth. And I'm just here to make sure you're getting paid. Until next time, yum on.